Hi, everybody. Welcome to Friday Night Bingo. How's everybody doing today? I guess the big question is everybody warm? How's everybody doing? What's the temperature where you guys are at? And I know that I'm in Atlanta, and right now it is 15 degrees, but with wind chill, it's about a -2. And we're not used to that down here in Atlanta. So I hope everybody is nice and warm and comfy where you guys are at. We're waiting on Eowyn to come in, run just a little bit late, but let's go ahead and ask a few questions. So today we're going to be talking about the Appalachia Project. So if you are currently in Appalachia or an Appalachian, go ahead and give me a shout out in the chat. And also, if you don't know what I'm talking about or where the region is, good news. You came to the right place at the right time. So we're going to talk a little bit about Appalachia today, as what it is, where it is, how to say it, how to pronounce it, and we're ready to go. You guys have got some pointers already. So does anybody have booger in the middle? I'm going to guess, Stephen, that you must be from Appalachia or you studied ahead of time. So let's go ahead and bring up the screen and show you the Appalachia Project here. And this is on WikiTree. We're fairly new. We're about 6 months old. You probably recognize this from our pretty blue sticker. And it's really interesting what Appalachia is. The name actually comes from an Indian tribe. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce what the Indian tribe actually called it because I will get it wrong without a doubt. But let me show you. So it's something like Appalachia, but then the Spanish took it over, and that's where we kind of come into the Appalachia name. And there's also an Appalachia, Florida, by the way, that has nothing to do with this. So we've got the Appalachia name. What's really kind of interesting for those of you that are into novels and artists, Washington Irving actually suggested, and it almost became a fact, that America was going to be called Appalachia. He wanted to separate America from the other Americas and give it a very unique name. So he had actually recommended it, and it came really close to being called Appalachia. And he also wanted to give a little shout out to the natives who called it Appalachia. But the really cool thing is, Appalachia is the fourth oldest surviving European place name in the United States. So we go pretty far back. And a lot of you might ask, well, where is Appalachia? What is it? So let me see if I can bring this screen up a little bit further. This is going to be Appalachia. And you'll notice that it goes from New York, where it's green, and comes down into Pennsylvania, into Western Maryland, goes into Eastern Ohio, all of West Virginia, as well as going into some of Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and believe it or not, Mississippi and Alabama. So these areas are what is classified by the U.S. government agency, the Appalachian Regional Commission, as Appalachia. So if you kind of look at that, and if you can see if you actually live in that county right now, you could be in Appalachia. It looks like we've got a good group in here today, too. I posted the bingo card in advance, so I will do it one more time for those of you just joining. You can get your bingo card ready. We're going to do bingo in just a few minutes. There you go, and you're ready. So have you heard of Appalachia, also called Appalachia? And I admit, I will, depending on which region I am at in this map, my changing of the word pronunciation does change. But if you live in the region, you're going to call it Appalachia. If you typically live outside the region, let's say Colorado, Idaho, something like that, you will tend to call it Appalachia. And that's how we as Appalachians know if you are from the region or not. So it's kind of, and I know somebody mentioned coal miners. Something kind of interesting came up too, that somebody on WikiTree asked me if Appalachia was only where the coal mines are. And no, it's not, but it's a good idea of what they were thinking, because Appalachia is full of coal mines. We did have the coal mine wars, so I can understand that thinking. The other thing that I get asked a lot is Appalachia equal the Appalachian Trail? And that's a no. The Appalachian Trail does run through Appalachia, kind of like this. And it actually is in Georgia and goes up to New York and beyond. But Appalachian Trail does not equal Appalachia or vice versa. So I just want to point that out. A lot of people seem to think that those two equal each other. They do not. And if you'll notice from my mouse, I'm just going to do a little line down here. That line is about where the trail is for the Appalachian Mountain Range, and Appalachia expands out way past east and west of that particular trail. And for those that happen to dabble in the genealogy of Appalachia, we sometimes have a little bit of a difficult time with the genealogy and sourcing. When the U.S. Civil War occurred, a lot of our courthouses were burned down. And what was in those courthouses are sources. So we get a lot of brick walls at times because of that. And it's pretty well known, even to this day, that Appalachians, especially in certain areas, particularly I'm going to point out the West Virginia area because that's where I'm familiar with, they are very distrustful of outsiders. The Appalachians tend to get a bad name, and they are thought of as uneducated or very poor, or even at times drug users. So they tend to not trust outsiders. So when you see people come from the outside in trying to get census information, for example, or trying to get information on their housing, their living environment, where they work, Appalachians tend to be a little bit distrustful. If a good example is, if you remember Gone with the Wind, there was a scene after the Civil War happened where an actor came up and it was classified basically as a carpetbagger. Our Appalachians and Southerns tend to talk about outsiders as the term carpetbaggers because they're just very untrusting of people that come in to the region that they do not know. It's a pretty tight-knit area. We do tend to know each other a lot. And one other thing I want to mention about Appalachia is the regions do have different dialects. So if you're up north in the New York area, you're going to have a very different dialect than if you're all the way in the south in Georgia, where I am. I'll give you a great example. I like to say y'all a lot, and you'll hear that more in the blue area and in that coral reddish area, orangish area. You will not hear that a lot up in that very top area. So let's go ahead and get started. Does everybody have their bingo card? I'm going to post it one more time. And I'm going to bring up the bingo card myself. Couple things to know about the bingo card. There we go. Is bingo, you win either diagonal, horizontal, or vertical. The first person who types the word bingo in the chat wins. So you got to be quick because sometimes two people can get bingo at the same time, but whoever puts it in first is the one that's going to win the bingo. And you either win a t-shirt or a mug. And I'll give you more information about that as well. The other thing to know about this bingo is that all the words are going to relate to Appalachia. So if you know one of these wild and crazy words, please feel free to define it in the chat. That would be fun. So the very first word that we have for our first bingo game tonight is Coal Wars. And blue people, if you have a question, I'm not sure if Pam is online in here. Pam actually does a sub-project with a group called the Blue People of Kentucky. And it's actually a genetic difference. And do believe, but let me double check with Pam. I do believe that the blue people are no more of Kentucky. I think that the genetics have died out with that particular group, but their skin is actually tinged blue. Reckon. Reckon to us means, yeah, I reckon so, probably so. I reckon that's correct. Melungeons. And this is a really, really good sub-project that we have going on. This is a fascinating one. The Melungeon group is actually a group of Native Americans and the Black Americans that came in along with the Spanish. And it's a mix of the three. And they are really interesting research, especially if you're into DNA and if you have Melungeons in your particular family group. The DNA is fascinating to see this. Holler. Okay, anybody want to give me an idea what you think holler is? And the first person gets it right, I will tell you that you got it. Branch. And branch to us in an Appalachian language is a small stream. It's not actually a branch from a tree. It's a small stream. So a lot of times when I was growing up, my dad had a branch in his backyard, and it was just a small trickle of a stream. And that would be correct. It's a low point, but it's also like on the side. Mountains, what you can do is you can holler over to your neighbor. Britches. This one's pretty easy. We tend to say britches instead of pants or trousers. Over yonder. And I gotta tell you, this is like one of my favorite songs right now. So if by a West Virginian called Charles Wesley Godwin, and he sings a song Over Yonder. Over yonder is pretty much what we say when we're like over there. It's over yonder. If you want to go get that bucket, it's over yonder. And Overmountain, this kind of messed up, my fault. Overmountain Men, it should say. And this is a frontier group of men that were working together around Grandfather Mountain right before, I would say, the Revolutionary War. And for those of you that don't know Grandfather Mountain, if you're into any type of history or Revolutionary War, definitely look it up. It is a fabulous place to visit, but it's fascinating history for the United States. Ooh, we're close. Poke. Now, most people would think poke, let me go ahead and poke you in the side. That's not it. To us, to Appalachians, poke is a small bag. And it originally started where some of the frontiermen would keep trinkets, treasures, tobacco, things like that. And if you think of the Scots wearing their kilt, they had a little bag in front that they wore. So that's kind of where the poke came from, with being a small bag. I see a lot of you are really close too. Whistlepig. This is actually a name that we call an animal that you guys probably saw recently. And I will give you a hint. Puxnany Phil. See? Can't talk tonight. So whistlepig is what you find when you're trying to see if you've got more winter or if winter's over. It's a groundhog. I don't really know if they whistle, though. That'll be good. So Hatfield. Who's heard of the Hatfield and McCoys? That is a famous group. One side was in Kentucky, one side was in West Virginia, and they fought, and they fought hard. Great show that was on AMC a while ago called the Hatfield McCoys. We got bingo. Yay, Karen. So what was it, Karen? Was it Hatfield? And let me tell you how to claim your prize. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to email Eowyn and tell her that you won the bingo for the 6 p.m. or the very first bingo for the Appalachia Project bingo. And you get to pick a shirt or a mug. And she'll give you more information about it. And I will tell you, the Friday night bingo mug is very, very coveted. You might want to think about that one. Oh, and I agree. This would be true. I need cornbread too. Cornbread would be a very interesting and good thing. Yeah. So how many of you have heard and know the region or the area of Appalachia? Do most of you know of the area region? Or at least, I bet you a lot of you probably did not know that it was going to be located even all the way up into New York. A lot of people will assume West Virginia. They'll probably assume Kentucky into Tennessee as well, but it's rare that people think that Mississippi and Alabama, which are down in the foothills of it, that are part of Appalachia. And for sure, I find that most people curious that New York is part of it as well. So that's pretty cool. So you guys are making me hungry. I mean, you're all talking about the cornbread and the corn pudding. You're making me very, very hungry. Anybody want to help out with David's question here? And I'll tell you, David, we were actually talking. My code for this word is Casper. If that gives you a good hint. And I might point out that I've already learned more today than I knew before. That's great. I will point out, since I'm looking at David's as well, David just took over the Governor's Project. So if you notice, we have a lot of states that have governor needs on his project. And I believe, and David, correct me if I'm wrong, West Virginia is one of the first states that you started working on. So if you guys want to help David out, there are a lot of governors in a couple of the states that we could actually use your help in. And yep, you got it. It's a ghost. I don't know, Pip. You're going to have to help me out with this one. But I think I'll go with mine. If you've never had a West Virginia pepperoni roll, you don't know what you're missing in life. It is one of the best things in the world, especially if you have it for breakfast. It seems to be really great. Oh, well, John says it's at least a friendly ghost. So we got it there. Oh, the Mountain Ment. Thank you, Liz. Liz pointed out that the Overmountain Ment were instrumental in Americans winning that battle of Kings Mountain. And Kings Mountain is a very large part of America and the build up to the Revolutionary War. So if you're definitely into history, check out that sub project that we have, because it's really, really cool. And while I pause for just a second, let me go ahead and get you guys the second bingo card. Now, the second bingo card will be a little bit different. The second bingo card is set up more to talk about some of the regions of Appalachia. So if you have any questions as we bring them up, or if you've visited some of these spots, some of them are tourist spots. So if you've done that as well, then let us know. And I will bring up the next bingo. You guys ready? Don't worry, Liz. We got you. Oh, Pip, that's very cool. Were they over Mountain Men, Pip? That's really cool to find out that your ancestors were such a huge part of America becoming America. Okay, but add the bingo. And the first word is Harper's Ferry. Harper's Ferry is in West Virginia. And if you don't know, that would be where John Brown's raid was. for the U.S. Civil War. Maryland. Maryland, it's only the western part of Maryland. It's not the whole state, but it is a couple of the counties. If you know Cumberland, Maryland, or if you've been to Frostburg State University, those are in Appalachia. Ohio, and we're talking more of the southeast of Ohio, and there are a lot of coal mines there as well. You knew I had to put a Dolly reference in. So we've got Dollywood. Shout out if you've been to Dollywood. My mom loves Dollywood. She doesn't go anymore, but she loves Dollywood in Pigeon Forge area. It's in Tennessee. And West Virginia. That's where you'll find me doing most of my research. That's where almost all my family live right now. But all my ancestors pretty much came from that VA, Virginia, West Virginia area. And I will point out, that's where we get our pepperoni rolls, as Mindy said, for the coal miners. North Carolina. This is going to be that Blue Ridge area of North Carolina, and this is Pip's hometown. This is Pip's stomping grounds around here. It's a beautiful area. Mississippi. I've actually had a gentleman contact me about how Mississippi is absolutely part of Appalachia, and he's argued with some who thought it wasn't. But Mississippi has the foothills part of Appalachia. In Pennsylvania, quite a bit of Pennsylvania is in Appalachia, and actually one of the biggest, largest cities of Appalachia is Pittsburgh. New York. We do go into New York. We don't cover all of it, but Appalachia is in New York. Uh-oh. You guys are in trouble. Steven's one away. Go ahead, Steven. Tell us what you want. Which one are you looking for? Oh, that's interesting. The crystal grottos. Okay. The Blue Ridge. And actually, we got bingo. Eric, you won. Let me finish my Blue Ridge story. So the Blue Ridge is where I often go on the weekends. It's not far from me. And you'll see that our blue sticker is based off of the location where I go in North Georgia, the Blue Ridge Mountains. So poor Steven. I'm so sorry, Steven. I got great news, though, for you, Steven. There'll be bingo in 2 weeks, so don't worry. So you guys were close then. That's pretty cool. Okay, so let me tell you then how to get your bingo prize. And you will have to let us know, Eric, about how it gets to you. You'll want to email Eowyn, and she will give you all the information that you need to get your prize. Again, the t-shirt, and there's many choices on the t-shirt. There's a really, really cool one with a dog on it. I'll say that. And then, the coveted mug, the Friday night bingo. Love this mug. Just got it. It's got my hot chocolate in it. So you will be all set and ready to go. I'm still cracking up over Steven. Sorry, Steven. Next time there'll be an opportunity, I promise. Oh, so we needed Southern Appalachia. And Southern Appalachia is going to include Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, and parts of South Carolina. If you're a Clemson fan, Clemson is in Southern Appalachia. And Foxfire. I got to tell you, I love Foxfire. Foxfire is also in Northern Georgia. But if you were younger, you probably had got the Foxfire books, the Foxfire magazines. They are awesome. And Foxfire is Northern Georgia, Rayburn County. It's actually not in Clayton. I think it's in Mountain City, Georgia. But if you're ever around North Georgia, you should definitely check this place out. It is a village, a recreated village of Appalachian houses, stores, farms, and it's really quick to go through. It's fabulous around the holiday season because they have living actors that go up and demonstrate the blacksmithing or the farming or the cooking. So it's a really cool place. Oh, Stephen, I wondered where you were. You missed us. I was curious where you were. And Blood Mountain is actually somewhere else. It's not in the North Georgia area of Foxfire. You guys have good questions today. Oh, the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. I also mentioned too that, so I think Stephen mentioned it, that one of our most popular songs is going to be Country Roads. I know that it's mostly specifically West Virginia, but us Appalachians, we will go ahead and sing that quite often. And if you're ever anywhere near the state of West Virginia and hear that song played, it is deafening. But I found out something a month ago. Apparently, during soccer matches over in Germany, they love that song and they will sing it louder than the West Virginians do. So Appalachia actually goes pretty far when we've got our music. In Appalachia, we have primarily the Scots-Irish are our largest immigrants, but we have the Polish coal miners, the Italian coal miners, the Welsh coal miners, we have the English coal miners. We have a lot of people that came over, and Scandinavian too, that came over and immigrated into the Appalachian area to make it a multicultural place. Okay. Oh, so now you're going to mention that's a Blairsville. Blairsville is kind of over towards the middle of North Georgia. Oh no, you got, and then David. West Virginia is going to be the first state to have all the. Oh, that's awesome. I will tell you that it's a fun project. The Governor's Project is really fun. And there's a lot of members that are in the chat now that are in Appalachia and the Governor's Project working on it. So it's extremely fun to do. And I would agree. Bluegrassers do a great cover. And since I've got to mention Dolly again, definitely check out Dolly's version of Stairway to Heaven or Shine. They're the bluegrass versions. They're awesome. They're very, very awesome work to do. And then let's see, David, we've got some bio work for. Oh, I will tell you, since you're mentioning this in West Virginia, there is Joe Manchin, who's a senator now, but he was a governor of West Virginia. If anybody in this chat has any access to Italian records, I would appreciate you heading over to the West Virginia Governor's Project and looking up Joe Manchin, because he is a second generation Italian, and it's very hard to connect him with the records that we have going on. So that would be now. Before I finish, if you guys have any questions, let me know. But next week will be Friday night date night as usual. And then the next Friday, so in 2 weeks, we have 2 new projects coming. And I am so excited about these projects. These projects were some of the most requested projects that we had when we started this bingo up. The very first one that's going to be at noon Eastern in 2 weeks is going to be Banyan Tree. And it's actually the Connectathon group Banyan Tree, but they're going to be talking about how they're trying to get the India project going. I am so excited. They are a great group. They are energetic. They are willing to put in the WikiTree work. And it's going to be exciting for me to learn about a new area to research and look at. I can't wait to see their profiles as well. And then one of the probably, if not the most requested project that I've been given for the bingo will happen in 2 weeks at the 6 p.m. Eastern bingo. And that is the Native American Project. And I know from working with the Appalachia Project, the Native American Project has been such a big topic with us. We get so many questions. And I want to point out that the Native Americans in Appalachians are not considered Appalachians. They are considered Native American. So if you ever come across any in WikiTree or your research or in person, there's still a lot of tribes in Appalachia that you can go and visit. They welcome it. Do not call them Appalachians. And a lot of times they don't like to be called by their state, like South Carolinians or Georgians. They like to be called the Native Americans in their tribe name. Specifically, we have a lot of Cherokee in Appalachia. But the Native American Project will be here in 2 weeks at 6 p.m. Eastern. And I am so excited for those two projects. Those two projects are really great ones that to learn that we don't really know a lot about. We'll learn about what they are, what their goals are, how to categorize them and sticker them within WikiTree, and how to research them. So it's really good all the way through. And if you guys have any questions, let us know. But otherwise, you can always go and check out, let me bring it up again, check out the Appalachia Project, and you'll notice us by the pretty blue sticker. We have a lot of information here. We have our reliable sources, our notables, but we also have our membership and our newsletters. And our newsletters are chock full of information about what we are, who we are, and also just general WikiTree information. And I'll point out that we did have a symposium presentation, and that's what you see here on Appalachian music. But what's really cool is you'll see a video of our project members as well. So if you've got any questions, just let us know. We'll be here to help. We'll be here to answer any questions, and we'll be here to convert you, make you an Appalachian as well. That's about it. You guys stay warm. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye, guys.